my agenda here would not be to overload you with a lot of information, because I believe the term COVID-19 was in not our dictionary 1.5 year ago, but now everybody knows about it and everybody can speak about it at length. So my agenda today will be to actually reorganize all the information so that you all have facts with you, because there is so much misinformation as well out there which is leading to a lot of confusion and chaos. And there are certain exceptions which has happened in the second wave of COVID-19 this year. So my agenda would be to actually bring out those differences and to reorganize everything so that all the facts are with you. So all the myths automatically get busted. So let's start. So the first thing, understanding the second wave of COVID, we'll start with what exactly is COVID-19 appropriate behavior. This is one part of the information which is actually being mentioned everywhere, that please stay at home as far as possible, wear mask, and cover it from your nose to chin, use sanitizer as often as possible, maintaining social distancing, and avoiding at least close contact with COVID-19, and maintaining at least a 15 and not spending more than 15 minutes time with them. Why is this still important? What's actually happening is, now that so many of them are getting vaccinated, they're thinking that it's okay to not follow these guidelines. However basic these guidelines are, trivial it is, you've been hearing it time and again and following it from a lot of time, but it's still the time that you need to still continue doing it, because that is what is most important. If you would remember from first wave in during the lockdown, we were really cautious and we were following these guidelines. And as unlock started happening, these guidelines were actually becoming loosened, and that's why we're now also experiencing second wave. So now that it becomes doubly important that we follow these guidelines now, and also for a couple of months later till everything does not really get settled down. That would be one of the most important thing, to know what exactly is COVID-19 appropriate behavior. What else can be done if you've not yet contacted COVID-19 yet, or just to take care of your immunity? One thing is, of course, you need to really improve your immunity. It does not matter what age you are in, how good your immune system already is, or how weak it is. You can always start doing certain things, especially related to COVID-19. So, these are all preventive measures. You're taking these preventive measures so that you are just making sure that firstly you do not catch the virus. In case you catch, you're better equipped to fight, like you have all the resources, the strength and all to fight, so your recovery becomes naturally better. So what are the things you can do to boost your immunity? Would be steam inhalation at least once a day, practicing proning exercises, because that automatically increases the oxygen supply to your lungs. Then taking the vaccine in case you're already eligible and you've not yet taken. Then breathing exercises, so deep breathing exercises. These are few things which can be done to boost immunity specifically for preventing COVID-19. At any point of time, if you have questions, you can pause me and you can raise your hand and ask the questions. Or like Prerna mentioned in the beginning, you can always put it down in the chat. Then next, how to really recognize that you have COVID-19 or not. This is one of the most crucial part, because this is what is going to decide which day of infection did you have and what's your first day of symptom. The first day of symptom is actually very important in actually doing the entire treatment. So it's very important to convey to the doctor which was the first day of symptom. So the most predominant symptoms are your respiratory symptoms. So what do I mean by respiratory symptoms? Are cough. So that's one of the and difficulty in breathing. These are the most predominant symptoms. Other symptoms are fever. Then in second wave, two additional symptoms which have happened very frequently is headache and extreme body tiredness and body pains. So even if you have headache, do not neglect it like, okay, it might be just like a normal headache I usually get, or something like migraine or something like that. At least for this couple of months, whatever said and done, any of these symptoms you have, assume it to be COVID first, unless and until it is proven otherwise, because that is how rampant COVID-19 has become. So assume it to be COVID-19 positive unless and until it's proved otherwise. Do not get into like, I'll let go a few days because it's fine. It just might be a viral fever or a headache or something. I'll tell you why that's important shortly. So It's very important to recognize which symptom you have. So I've listed down all the symptoms here, like fever, cough, headache, tired, feeling the chills, sweats, any rashes, body aches. Severe symptoms can be like difficulty in breathing, chest pain. So these are any of these symptoms. So any of the symptoms you experience, immediately actually isolate yourself and contact a doctor. If you're not able to go in person, the best thing right now is to do teleconsultation. Everybody is right now doing teleconsultation, and assurance is also providing teleconsultation 24 by 7. So that would be the first thing to do as soon as you experience any of these symptoms. Now, I'll tell you why this is important. So, actually, it's a 14-day period of COVID infection from day 1 to day 14. So, your first 5 days from the day of symptom. So, suppose your day of symptom was of 1st May. So, 1st May to 5th May, these 5 days are the most important days, because if an intervention is done during these 5 days, risk can be reduced. The spread of the infection can be reduced, and your complications related to COVID-19 can be almost negligible if an intervention is done in these first 5 days. Then the next 5 days, the 5th day to 10th day from the symptoms. So basically, if May 1st was the first day of symptom, so May 5 to May 10, these 5 days are the most crucial days, because that is when all the complications can occur, requirement of oxygen can be present, a need for hospitalization is there. So that's why it becomes very important that the next 5 days there is monitoring and everything being done. So that's the crucial of the next 5 days. And the last 5 days is when the recovery begins. That's where all the symptoms completely go away. You start bringing back the smell, the taste which would have lost, although body pains reduces, fever is almost not there. So that's when the recovery phase begins. So that's why the most important day would be the first day of symptom. Usually, we usually take when we've got an RT-PCR test done, and when that test has come positive, we take that as the first day. But no, that's not the first day, because we've already lost a couple of days there. So never be in the assumption that that is my first day. Your first day would be the first day of symptom. So that's why it becomes very important to recognize if you have any of the symptoms, immediately isolate yourself and get in touch with your doctor. That's the immediate thing you'll have to do. Now, now that suppose after you've gotten tested and you've gotten COVID-19 to be confirmed as positive, now what needs to be done? So for second wave, what's there earlier in the first wave, it was confirmed that if RT-PCR test has come as positive, you are positive. If RT-PCR test is negative, the person is negative. It's free from COVID. But in second wave, there are 30% false negatives which are coming in RT-PCR. So right now, RT-PCR test is also not gold standard. So how can the diagnosis be done in that case? So COVID-19 positive can actually be confirmed by the doctor itself. If the doctor sees clinically there are all the symptoms of COVID-19, the doctor can confirm it to be COVID-19 positive. Second is of course RT-PCR test. Third is CT scan. In case sometimes when RT-PCR test is negative, after 2-3 days we tell them to get a CT scan done. So CT scan can also tell if it's a positive or negative. That's the third thing. Fourth, if there is loss of smell, that one symptom if that's present, by default it is considered to be COVID-19 positive, because that's one symptom which is not present in any other diseases. Other diseases do at least share the other symptoms like fever, cough, and all of it. But loss of smell is one symptom which is very COVID-19 specific. So if that symptom is present, then it is considered to be COVID-19 positive. But having said that, does not mean everybody who's COVID-19 positive will have that symptoms, have the symptom of loss of smell. So that's an exception. So these are the four ways right now how we can confirm COVID-19 to be positive. So once it's positive, what needs to be done? Of course, isolation. Basically, be quarantined at your home and isolate yourself in a room which has an attached washroom. So you're separating yourself from your other family members so they don't get the infection. Then next thing would be to monitor your symptoms and vitals every day. So either you can do it by yourself or you get in touch with a nurse who is doing that for you daily. But that is the most essential thing to be done, monitoring the vitals and symptoms. Because like I said, the first 5 days to the next 5 days are where the you need to take the intervention and the crucial period is there. So only when the symptoms and vitals are being monitored, that's when the nurses also know that you have to go to the doctor. The doctors will also know that what a treatment needs to be done. So monitoring this becomes the most important thing, because based on what the values are of the vitals, and if the symptom is still present for so many days, the action and the intervention will be taken accordingly. Then, so of course, you begin the treatment under the guidance of the specialist and critical care specialist, the doctors and all. So begin the treatment. What's actually also happening these days is, because the internet is accessible to all of us, and the guidelines and all also put up on the internet itself, everybody is just actually following what's there on the internet. Like, okay, these are the list of medications which are being given, let me just take this. So my if somebody in my relative has gotten this and they've sent me this WhatsApp forward with this medication, I'll blindly take this medications. So don't go into that blindly taking into those medications. It's very important that you get in touch with the doctor and start the medication. It's okay even if they give the same medication, but that is important. Why? Because some medications are given just based on the risk profile of the users. Some medications are changed, the dose and all is changed just based on the person to person. So healthcare and medicine is very complicated like that, that it's very important the personalization is done. If the personalization is not done, that is when it leads to complications. Because if everything could be standardized so easily, then everything would be in public domain for you, for everybody to do it. But that's not the case, right? So it's very important that I know that everybody knows right now all the medication names, the injection names. The news and media has hyped up so much that you would all be able to tell all the names of all of the drugs. But do you need to take that or not? That needs to be told by your doctor. So it's very important to get in touch with your doctor. Next. So these are what supposed to be done at COVID-19 when you're positive. So also another thing is, all the activities which I mentioned for boosting the immunity needs to be continued even when you're positive, because that is what is going to give the strength to recover sooner from the COVID-19 as well. Now, once you've recovered, what needs to be done? Everybody actually leaves the chain at, okay, you're positive and we let it go. But after recovery, what you do is also important, because that is going to prevent long-term complications. And also there are certain good things which you can do. So after recovery, first is continue taking your supplements so that your immunity is strengthened. Because if you would have gotten infected or you've heard of it, you would know that weakness and all of it still continues beyond 14 days period as well. So that's why it becomes very important to continue taking the supplements. Then if donate the plasma, if you're eligible and you would feel like doing it, that would be a very good thing, because donating plasma, you would be saving other person's life as well. Then continue still following all the precautionary measures which I mentioned in the COVID-19 appropriate behavior, like wearing mask and everything, because reinfection is also possible. It's not like last year you got the infection, you would not get it this year again, or you've got a couple of months back, you will not get it. That's not the case. Even after vaccination, you can still get the infection. So that's why continue following precautionary measures. And the last would be that you can, if you've not taken the vaccine, then you're eligible to take vaccine after 2 to 4 weeks of complete recovery. So that would be the things to do after you've recovered from COVID-19. So here I'll just open for questions right now, because this is the end-to-end complete phase from how you can prevent to what you need to do post-recovery. So we've covered the entire loop. So before I go to vaccination, if there are any questions, then I would answer them. I can see some 3 questions in the chat.
Dr. Harshita?
Yeah.
If I may, I want to add a few points.
Yes.
Okay. So a couple of things, and I think Dr. Harshita, you can also add to that. From the first wave onwards and onto the second wave, there are certain people who are more prone to COVID. First and foremost is the comorbidities, essentially people who have hypertension, high blood pressure, and people who have diabetes, and obviously people with who are older, right? Who's by way of old age, immune system is slightly lower unless they are fit, and even then it's right. So that's something that I think that will be very important, especially when you consider your parents and elder relatives. That is something very, very important. The other thing is also that, and I think somebody asked this question in terms of what supplements to take. I think it will also be probably good to throw light on the vitamin D and vitamin B issues, right? As a country, probably I think a large part of us are vitamin D deficient, right? It's because we do not, typically test for vitamin D. Only in the last few years it's been being tested. Same thing with vitamin B. Even people who eat non-vegetarian or non-vegetarian food, etc., are B deficient, and these two also play an important part. So this will actually come more as a preventive part in this angle. So from that angle, vitamin D, vitamin B play a very important part because these are part of the protocols while you are having COVID and part of the supplement. But also, it's important that you know that if you're deficient, you should be actually taking supplements much before that, right? Please add to that also.
Yeah, thanks Shiva for actually adding those points. Those are very important points, like being hypertensive, diabetic, and all of it increases your chances of getting it. And after you've gotten it, your risk also automatically increases. So those are certain important things to be considered. So I see certain questions in the chat about vaccine. I'll cover that in my next slide. So you'll get an answer soon for that. Can you suggest some supplements for post recovery? Yeah, definitely. So what are the supplements to be taken? Like firstly, Shiva mentioned vitamin D. It's one important supplement to be taken at least this year because pretty much the entire of 2020 and half of 2021 we've spent inside our house, so we have not really gotten actual sunlight, and the essential source of vitamin D is sunlight. So pretty much most of us are under the insufficiency or deficiency category. So there is no harm in taking a vitamin D supplement. So you can take vitamin D 60,000 units once a week for at least 4 to 6 weeks. So that's one supplement. Next supplement to be taken is vitamin C. It comes under different brand names. One of the brand name is Limsi. So 500 grams. The doses which I'm mentioning are adult doses. So do remember that, not for the kids below 18. So vitamin C, which is 500 grams once a day would be fine. Any brand, it's okay. The third would be zinc. So at least zinc is also, you get it separately as well, and you also get it along with a combination of vitamin B12. So I would suggest both zinc and vitamin B as a combination. That would be another supplement which you can take. So yeah, these are the 3-4 supplements which I suggest to be taken. Okay, next question is, can one get COVID again, let's say within 6 months of contracting? Till when do the natural antibodies work? Okay, yes, reinfection is possible and it is happening. You can definitely get. So natural antibodies work maximum for 90 days. The word maximum here is very important, that it works maximum for 90 days. So that's like basically 3 months. It's not minimum 3 months, it's maximum for 3 months. And also it varies, the natural antibodies vary from person to person as well. So yeah, reinfection is possible. That's why COVID-19 appropriate behavior, taking all the precautions is very important. Okay, if you have children at home, do we need to take any additional precautions if we start showing symptoms? We may not be able to isolate completely since children need to be taken care of. Yes, like when, if you're not able to, the first, of course, the golden advice would be to actually isolate yourself completely and find somebody else or some other family member who can take care of the child. But if that's not the situation, then yeah, wearing a double layer mask would be very important while interacting with the child. Also, the child will also have to wear mask and make sure that you're maintaining the social distancing how much were possible. And in case when this needs like feeding the child and all of it, do not spend more than like 15 minutes with the child, because that's what I mentioned, that 15 minutes is enough to spend time with somebody who's COVID-19 positive to get infection yourself. So that's why do not spend a lot of time. That would be the few things which needs to be done. Yeah, mask would be the most important because that's how you're shedding the virus. So double layer mask would be the most important thing. I had symptoms of COVID-19. I did not take the test, but I got cured in 5 days. Does this mean I had COVID? Oh, well, you have symptoms of you had the symptoms. That means, of course, COVID-19 positive. Provided I need to know what are the symptoms to really confirm that it is a confirmed disease. And you got cured in 5 days. Yeah, that is what's gonna happen. Either the natural immunity picks up and you get cured in 5 days, or when intervention and medications are started, you usually get cured in 5 days. That's why the first 5 days is the most important thing. Now to answer if you've had the COVID or not, we cannot know. You can get an antibody test done. If the antibodies are present in your blood, that means you have recovered from it. And I would suggest if you're still in that within the 14 days of the period of symptom, then please isolate yourself because you're still at the risk of spreading the infection to somebody else. So even though you have recovered from within 5 days, it's very important that the isolation period is still 14 days because the virus is in your body alive and multiplying for those many days. So you can spread the infection to your loved ones, your family members, and if you're going outside to everybody. So that's why the isolation is important. Is double masking required if you're wearing N95? No, double masking is not required if you're wearing N95 mask. Limsi selling 500
Having
on the
said
brand.
that, I would like to add a corollary here. Even N95 mask should be worn properly.
Yeah.
It should cover. It should seal essentially your breath completely inside the mask. So the objective is that you do not basically. Why are you contracting the virus? Because the virus is actually escaping from the gap between the mask and the points on your face or on your chin. It should not get into through your nose into the respiratory system. So that's the reason. So if an N95 mask, for example, N95 mask cannot be used indefinitely. And Dr. Harshita, you can probably tell about the way it has to be disinfected and how many times it can be reused because there's a, I think, life for that, right? So I think that will probably be helpful.
Yeah. So every mask is supposed to be actually discarded and disposed itself. We are not supposed to wear the same mask again and again. But a lot of people are using actually cotton mask and all of it. So at least make sure you're washing the mask every day. Usually in the guidelines, it's given that 6 to 8 hours is when you actually wear any mask for, and then it needs to be discarded. If the mask is already wet within 6 hours, at like 4 hours itself, then it needs to be discarded because if it's already wet, then the filter will not work effectively. So it does not serve its purpose anymore. And that time, the mask needs to be discarded more frequently. But yeah, having said that, we cannot really use all the kind of disposable mask every time because there is shortage of mask and the biomedical waste and all is increasing. So whenever you're using the cotton mask, it's important that you wash the mask very frequently. Have like 2 to 3 masks which you can alternate between. And the same rule apply to the N95 also. 6 to 8 hours is when you change the mask. You change it earlier if the mask has become wet already. Okay. Saurabh has written the brand names also of the medication, so you all can look into that. Sanjeev has a question on vaccination. I'll answer that after the next slide. 500 milligrams. It's not grams. It's 500 milligrams of vitamin C. Okay. Given that we have vaccination shortage in almost all states, can the second dose be a different vaccine? You'll get the answer on vaccination. Just wait for my next slide. How to know if you're recovering from COVID-19 or not? Okay. How to know you're recovering from or not? You will firstly notice that all your symptoms are gradually reducing, and after a couple of days you will not have majority of the symptoms like fever and all would have completely gone. There wouldn't be any high risk symptoms like difficulty in breathing or chest pain and all. The only symptoms should be really persisting would be like tiredness and body pains. So once your symptoms are gradually reducing and you're coming to the state of no symptom, that's when your recovery is actually beginning. When you're able to get back your strength, energy, and all of it, that means your recovery is getting better and better. So yeah, that's why symptom monitoring and monitoring your vitals. By vitals, I mean temperature, SpO2 are the two most important things which needs to be monitored during those 14 days period. If we have contracted the virus, after how many days can we get vaccinated? 2 to 4 weeks. We're seeing a lot of people who contacted with COVID and are suffering from black fungus. Why is this happening and how can we prevent this? Okay, black fungus is not something a new disease. It's a old disease itself. Why that's happening is a fungal infection happens whenever immunity is low. So firstly, the immunity is low and COVID-19 is again reducing the immunity. So that's one of the reasons. Second reason is diabetic. Somebody who's already diabetic, they're already prone to fungal infection. So having already an existing comorbidity of diabetes increases the risk of contracting black fungus. Third is in high risk cases and severe cases, steroids is also given to save their lives for better recovery. And when giving steroids for really long term, that also increases the risk of getting the black fungus while fungal infection. So these are the couple of reasons what's leading to it, and how it can be prevented is definitely reducing the risk of the disease itself. That is possible when you're boosting your immunity. Boosting immunity will naturally reduce the risk of the infection because you're having the fighting power. And if your immunity is good enough, the fungal will not be able to spread. So that is how it can be prevented. My mom and myself had viral fever 4 weeks back. Then there was no taste and smell, but we recovered pretty soon in 2 days. When you had to get vaccinated now. Are 4 weeks enough for a wait time post recovery to get vaccine? There have been sources saying 8 weeks minimum required. No, minimum is 4 weeks. You can get vaccinated anytime after 4 weeks, but it's minimum important to wait for 4 weeks for two reasons. Because you already have natural antibodies, so you're letting that work. So that's one of the reasons. And second, because your immunity and all will be little already low, you would have just recovered from it. So to be able to tolerate the vaccine, it's better. So 4 weeks is the minimum. You can wait for 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, up to you, but 4 weeks is minimum. If someone got COVID after the first dose, then when should they take their second dose? Okay, the which second dose to be taken, it will depend on which vaccine you've taken as the first dose. I will answer that in the next slide. You will know when I'm sharing about all the vaccines, and you'll again have to wait for that period of 4 weeks minimum. Does a person's immunity go down after vaccination for a few days? Immunity does not really go down. Your body is actually reacting to the vaccine, so you might be feeling certain symptoms. So that's okay. Your immunity is actually activated by the vaccine, so it's not going down. How can I know if I'm having these? There are a lot of questions on vaccination, so I think I let me just go to the next slide and then continue taking the questions. Okay. So vaccination, the most important question here. So what's the first thing I would want to say for the vaccination is the last line first, that the best vaccine is the one which you can get first. It does not matter which brand it is, what it is, but the best one for you is the one which you can get first. And especially right now that in India there is so much shortage of vaccine. Please don't be choosy and picky. Whichever vaccine you're getting first is the best one for you, because each of it has its pros and its cons. So that's why whichever you're getting it first, go for it. So what are the three basic vaccines which are available is Covishield, and then is Covaxin and Sputnik. Sputnik is not yet available in India, but it will be available shortly. So these are the three main vaccines which are available. There are certain differences between all the three vaccines, and that is why it's very important that you cannot interchange the dose of the second vaccine. So there was also one question that if I'm waiting for the second vaccine, can I take of some other brand? No, you cannot take of some other brand, because the first vaccine is of some other type, and the second vaccine is you're taking will be of some other type, and then you're actually, these two together will not provide any protection. So you're actually wasting both the doses. So you cannot do here any mix and match. Whichever vaccine brand was chosen in the first for the first dose, the same needs to be taken for the second dose as well. So that is the most important thing, that you cannot interchange the brands. So wow, when exactly it needs to be taken is, so Covishield can be taken 4 to 16 weeks apart. So between the first and second dose, there can be a difference of 4 to 16 weeks. For Covaxin, around 4 to 6 weeks apart. And for Sputnik, it's 21 days apart. So these are the basic timelines which is being said. At times, these timelines do get changed also, because this vaccine is still the vaccine which is being getting researched and all of it. So currently, these are the timelines, that Covishield can be taken 4 to 16 weeks apart, Covaxin can be taken 4 to 6 weeks apart, and Sputnik needs to be 21 days apart. All the three vaccines are given at the upper arm in the muscle layer. So that's where you'll be getting the left arm shot. And all of these vaccines are right now in India is eligible only for 18 plus. And efficacy of vaccine. So this percentage is basically given based on what is published in the research guidelines and all of the leading journals. The efficacy for Covishield is 62 to 90%. For Covaxin is around 78%, and Sputnik is 92%. Even though Sputnik has the highest efficacy, does not mean that becomes the best choice. There are these vaccines like Covaxin and Covishield is still much more better tolerated. So do not let only the efficacy be the decision making factor. The decision making factor needs to be firstly to decide should I take the vaccine or not, and then after you've decided to take the vaccine, whichever you're getting first, take it. Then what is
one
the
thing, Dr. Harshita,
yes,
one thing. Yeah. So I think you mentioned. I think the government has made it compulsory that the gap between the first and second dose is 12 weeks, 84 days now, right? And it's been done for a reason, because as a doctor, I think in the UK, which started vaccinating its population, which is the same vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine is Covishield. They found out that the efficacy actually improved from 67% to close to almost 87% to 90% if the gap was increased from 10 to 12 weeks. And based on that, and because as Dr. Harshita said, one vaccine is not, you cannot, because we are still discovering a lot of things. And one vaccine based on a particular race, which is basically for the British, for let's say Anglo-Saxons, will not be the same for Asians. So I think what the government has done is actually looked at the results, and now I think they've probably come up, the tests are probably proving that gap of about 12 weeks is ideal, because it allows the body to build up better immunity. So, and I think that's been corroborated by UK. UK has still, I think, not started vaccinating below 45, as far as my understanding goes, or the younger people, they are still there. But whoever has got the first dose and has spent more than 10 weeks, 12 weeks, I think the efficacy is pretty good. It's improved quite a bit. So I think that is probably one thing. The other thing is, somebody was asking about mixing the vaccines. Absolutely no. You cannot take a Covishield and Covaxin, as Dr. Harshita said. These are different types of vaccines. So you cannot take one of Covishield or one of Covaxin, or vice versa, or even Sputnik. So absolutely not. Please go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So another important thing is, like, after the second dose of vaccine is done, the most important question is how long does it take for me to develop immunity against COVID-19. So immunity period for all the three vaccines after the second dose is around 2 to 4 weeks. So around after 2 weeks, immunity starts getting to develop, and after 4 weeks is where it's permanently becomes immune. So it's around 2 to 4 weeks. This is still important that those 2 to 4 weeks also take a lot of care. And having said that, after vaccine, are you completely free from COVID-19 infection? No. So even after vaccination, it's important to do all the precautionary measures and keep boosting your immunity. Because the only thing then the question would be that why do I even have to take vaccine if it's not giving me protection against the virus? What it's actually doing is that it's reducing the severity of the disease. So like here you would have heard all the complications, the need of hospitalization, ventilators, oxygen, all of that is being eliminated. Like if you would have heard 2 days ago, Dr. Devi Shetty also mentioned that in India, there were only 2 people who required oxygen, who had taken all the both the doses. Otherwise, they have not seen anybody who has taken both the doses of vaccine getting into any of the complications. They would have just had like mild fever or something, and they would have recovered. They would have just recovered just by home isolation. They wouldn't have even required hospitalization. So that is what vaccine is right now doing. It's of course not preventing the infection, but it's preventing all the complications. So that is why vaccine is necessary. So I hope I've answered the questions on vaccination. Let me just look into chat once. If I've missed any, then and if there are new questions, please put into the chat. Okay, where was I? Okay. Can somebody guide me from where do I have to start? Because I don't remember where did I stop last time.
Yeah, so on the masks piece, Akshay has a question. Lot of masks, there are N95 written, but they're not really. How do we know about that? there's a question.
Okay. So see, do not really go by that you need to be wearing an N95 mask itself. Only two occasions there is a requirement of N95 for doctors and nurses who are actually working at hospital. They need an N95 mask. And second is when you're staying in the same room with an infected person, that's when an N95 mask is required. Those are the only two occasions actually an N95 mask is required. Otherwise, using a double mask is more than enough. So do not go by that I need an N95 mask itself. Okay, there's a question from Prashant. If someone got COVID after the first dose, then when should they take the second dose? Okay, I think now it's clear. So if they've taken Covishield, after that around 4 to 16 or around 12 weeks plus you add a month and then you take the vaccine. Does person's immunity good? Okay, I've answered those. There are a lot of masks. Do cotton masks work? Like every mask works. They act as a filter from the virus. It just depends that when do you use which mask. So like if you're just at home, wearing a cotton mask would be more than enough. But if you're stepping out, it would be required to wear like a surgical mask. If you're actually interacting with somebody who's positive, then you would need like a double layer of surgical mask. And if you are staying in the same room, then that's where you will be requiring N95 mask. Any recommendation for blood oxygen meters? Seems there are a lot of fake ones in the market. I'm sorry, I would not be suggesting any brands because even the good brands right now are getting their fake copies. So would not go there and suggesting any brand names. Are there any side effects from vaccination like fever, body pain? It's a good sign. Yes, after vaccination, there are certain side effects like an arm pain, fever, and body pains. And yeah, it is a good sign because that is what is showing that your immunity has gotten triggered, and that's a good sign. Should we use steroids in very mild case? No, steroids are not used in very mild case. What would be the ideal time to get to take the second RT-PCR test after testing positive? Like, should it be taken after 14 days from the first day of symptom felt or once the cycle of medication is required? The second RT-PCR test is actually not required. And in fact, it should not be taken because that's what's happening. There is an overburden right now on the system of RT-PCR tests. So I would suggest do not get a second test done unless and until you need a report which shows negative so that you can travel or something like that. If that is a necessity, only then get a second test done. Yeah, and it should be done after 14 days of the first symptom. Or else please do not get a test done after 14 days. Good to go. If you don't have any symptoms, everything's fine, good to go. What precautions should be taken before or after vaccination for someone who's type 1 diabetic? Any test needs to be done before or same after that? Tests would not be required, but yeah, you just have to just get a blood sugar check at least done so you know that they are in range. If it's done like within 3 months or so, that would be good enough. What precautions for anybody to be done before and after vaccination is make sure before vaccination, the previous night you're having a good sleep, you're well rested, you're having proper meal in the breakfast and lunch, and then going and taking your shot because that itself would take care of the immunity. And after vaccination also, I would suggest take a little rest. Do not really do some strenuous work, especially with the arm and all of it. That would be good enough. And you can just take my vitamin tablets during that phase. Though that would be good enough before and after vaccination. Covishield or Covaxin, heard reports of blood clots associated with Covishield. Unfortunately, media and everything, whatever is being hyped are all the negative news. Like if there's even one complication after vaccination, that's what gets hyped because like it said, negative spreads faster, negative sells more. So that's why all these things are spread. Having said that, every vaccine has complications, and it's like the polio shot we would have all taken in our childhood that somebody after taking the polio shot would have also experienced paralysis. But now that everybody, all our kids have taken polio shot, we have actually eradicated polio completely from India. So every vaccine pros and cons. So that's why just don't think of those negative news which is happening. Have that little belief and faith and go ahead and take the shot.
Let me add to this.
Yes,
I think the statistics are there that I think out of the 18 odd crores that we have been able to vaccinate so far, 1,000 cases of adverse events. Adverse events means a reaction to the vaccine, right? So 20,018 crores, that is pretty much from a percentage point, it's a very small number. Having said that, any medicine, vaccine is also a medicine. Any medicine will have adverse effects. If you have an antibiotic, and some people are allergic to antibiotics, they will have, they'll have diarrhea. So if you look at, in fact, if you look at some medicines and then if you look at the instructions behind, you'll never take any medicine at all. So please do not go by the hype which is spread, right? Please take the vaccine. Even one shot will definitely prevent complications, right? And once you take the 2 shots, please, when you have the opportunity, please take it. So please do not go by the fact that that people are saying there are blood clots, etc., etc. Those are very, very, very far and few in between. So the main thing is whatever vaccine is there, please take it.
Okay, so there's a question. Can I take Sputnik 1 and the Covishield another one, because both are viral vectors?
No,
So
no.
viral vector is a very brief term for you all to understand, but what kind of, from where the viral is taken, how it's processed and all it, that is completely different. And that is why you cannot interchange vaccine. Even though both are viral vectors, the vectors are still different. So what would happen is, if you're going to actually do that, what the antibodies produced from first and antibodies produced from second, both will not add up. And that's why it will become waste. It will be that's why it's important that you take the second dose also the same, because that's when the antibodies will add up and they'll multiply, and only when it multiplies it will remain as a reserve in your body. That's what's going to be useful for it, or else it will not serve its purpose. Okay, then no fever from 5 days, SpO2 99, what do I need to take? Okay, I think this would require a consultation, so Rahul, you can book a consultation so it can be taken care of. Is the vaccine for a specific variant? Yes, vaccine is for the specific variant, the variant which was in the first wave. So, but most of the vaccines are also good for mutants as well. Is it recommended to get the CRP test before taking a vaccine? What are the advantages of it? It's not required if you've not had COVID infection. Oh, why then the country with more than 60% vaccines for discussing? Why then the country will more than 6? I mean, I didn't understand the question. So can you type that again? There's a shortage of Covaxin. What to do if the time taken to second dose shot has passed? So now if you would see, everybody is actually extending the time to take the second dose, because like Shiva also mentioned that if the second dose is taken later, there is a lot of time given to the body to prepare so many antibodies. So the amount of antibodies is actually increasing. So that would be thing. But if you passed that as well, then yeah, after the next dose is being taken, you have to really check the antibodies again. And if it's not sufficient enough, you might have to go for third dose. How effective are air purifiers? I see many brands claiming to remove COVID particles as well. I wouldn't comment on that. Getting headaches ever after recovered from COVID, what is it? I mean, it would require a consultation to really evaluate what that is. There seems to be a lot of personal questions. So for all of those personal and individual questions, I would suggest that kindly go ahead with a consultation, because that would save everybody's time. But Prerna, can you just look through the question? Are there any questions which would apply to everybody in generic? Then I will just answer those. Meanwhile, I would just go ahead with my last slide till then.
Yeah.
So what's happening? So last thing which I would want to say is, how is actually Assurance by Nano Health supporting everybody recovering from COVID-19 remotely, like how Shiva and both Prerna mentioned in the beginning, that we do operations both on site as well as remotely. So there's one of the program which Assurance by Nano Health runs, which is the COVID-19 home care packages. So they have a complete end-to-end solution, from providing diagnostic tests to 24/7 doctor consultation, to also, after it's become positive, a complete package wherein for the next 14 days, every day the sisters call and they monitor the symptoms and the signs. And as they record all of those data digitally, and any of the things are found to be abnormal, it immediately raises a flag and alert, and a doctor consultation is booked immediately. And then the doctor looks into, has a teleconsultation video call with the patient and writes a prescription with all the medication needs to be taken, what intervention needs to be done. So it's an entire 14-day package, which is a complete end-to-end solution. In this 14-day period, if there is a requirement of any hospitalization and all of it, all of those interventions are also immediately mentioned and told to be taken the next step as well. And that is also possible because the sisters are actually monitoring the symptoms and vital signs every day, and they're recording it. And after they record it, we have put intelligence into our system which can identify if it's in high risk, moderate risk, or it's normal. And based on that, it automatically generates immediate alerts and flags, and all the people who are concerned get notified. And that's when the doctor also comes into the picture, and doctor does the needful advice to be given. That's what is done. So that's one of the things which Assurance by NanoHealth does, like a 14-day complete package. And the success of this package from the today actively, I think we have around 72 cases who are in the active package management. And every day we look into the data that how many are mild, how many are moderate, how many are in a high risk category, and if there was any need for hospitalization. So as far as from last year till now, Shiva, what was the number we've completed from last year?
Over 1,500. Over 1,500.
Yeah, around 1,500 without any casualty, where we have not experienced any death. There were 4 hospitalization around in that 1,500. So yeah, that's how the successful is done. Gotten this is one of the most important thing, that you can also do it by yourself, the daily symptom monitoring and the package as well. The only thing is you need to know that what is normal and what's not normal. So that's where the sisters and trained staff come into picture, where they are actually monitoring it. And because it's the same sister who's taking care of you 14 days, it's just like you're not in a hospital, you're at your home on your bed, but there is a sister who's actually every day looking after you. And that's when they can gauge that, are you now recovering, are you not recovering, are you under high risk, what is that, and all of that's happening. So there are like 2 types of package, basically one basic and full protection. The only difference between the basic and full protection is, in basic the doctor consultation is limited to 2. In full protection you have everyday doctor consultation, and in full protection you also get access with the doctor 24/7. So yeah, that's the basic packages which are with Assurance by NanoHealth, which we are doing from our end to monitor remotely how we can really effectively manage them remotely. So yeah, Prerna, were there any questions which were generic applied to everybody?
Yes, there's one question on what if there's no fever or body pain after vaccination? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. That's also fine.
And one more question on work from home and doing all household chores. Sometimes we need to take a break and order in food from outside. Is it okay once a week maybe, or it's risky?
So if that's a thing which needs to be done, yeah, if it can be avoided would be the best. But at least in the second wave, the surface transmission has completely reduced. Like earlier on the first wave, we would just say that sanitize everything you're getting, all the fruits you're getting, everything you're getting from outside, because surface transmission was also there. But in second wave, it's almost most of the articles now are saying that the surface transmission is less than like 1%. So that's why it's still safe.
Got it. Thank you. Apart from that, there are a few personal questions which you said that could be
for personal questions. Let's keep
physician. Yes.
Yeah, they can be another session, or they can book a consultation, because I would not want to save everybody's time because we're on a time crunch. That's why.
Right. I think we're good to go like that. Any other tips, anything else, doctor, if you would like to share? Apart from that, I don't see any questions which are generic.
Like if somebody's sending me questions privately, I would suggest please do everyone, because right now,
please send it to everyone. So
yeah, so
we can take it up.
One thing is I think which I would like to point out is, I think your overall what COVID-19 has highlighted is basically the importance of being fit and fitness in general. So, as far as possible, try to have some physical activity. I know that we are all working from home, but even 30 minutes of moderate exercise a day, right, does help to actually build up some kind of strength, some kind of endurance, and some kind of immunity boost. So, please, I think if this is, I think one of the lessons, major lessons, which has been learned, that we cannot take our bodies for granted, because I think in our passion for work, we do tend to ignore our general health, and that is what actually leads later on to more complications. Having said that, there are also healthy people getting infected, but the fact is also that they are recovering much faster. So what I would request all of you is to ensure that at least have some physical activity, which will essentially improve, boost your immunity. And also the other thing is, do not get frightened. A lot of it is spraying on your mind with the kind of news which is flying around. Okay, tend to have a positive mindset. So exercise and have a positive outlook. That's my final message. Doctor?
Yeah, that's one of the most wisest advice you would have got. It's really very important to actually follow that, and that's really like pearls of wisdom which is given at the last. That's the cherry on the entire cake, I would say. And unfortunately, let's not wait for an situation like this or an old age to really recognize these things. I think the sooner the better it is, because what you actually do in your 20s will give you its impact in 30s. What you do in 30s will give you the impact in 40s. So very important, the earlier you start, the better it is. So now is the best time to start. And yeah, please let go of the fear and all of it. And for that, I would say that please turn off the news, because there's so much misinformation and all of that, that there's no requirement of all of those things.
Yeah, very well said, Doctor. One last question for the day, and we'll wrap up. It's Aditi asking if it's advisable to go outside working out, and if yes, do we keep masks on?
By outside, if you mean gym and all of it, I would suggest no. If it's just a stroll in the nature and like that, it would still be fine, if, provided all the precautions are maintained. Yes, mask would be required unless and until you're really doing like strenuous workout and all.
Yes.
But because if you're doing strenuous or like workout, I would suggest not to do that outside. Do that within house, so that you can wear mask as well.
Awesome. I think with this, we've also come at the end of the session. It's 4 o'clock. And thank you so much, Dr. Harshita and Mr. Shiva, for doing this. I think this was a very great and informative session, and a lot of the questions got answered. Thank you for being here, and we'll be in touch. And we have this recording, and we'll be sharing it with the larger audience for those who could not join. And we'll get in touch soon and see if there's something that we can do in the future as well.
So this Prerna, one thing, I think there were a lot of personal questions. So what I would suggest is that you can at least like pass on our details where they can book a teleconsultation appointment, so they can go ahead with those. Because I'm sorry, due to lack of time, I could not answer all of those personal questions, but I think that can be at least done.
Right, we'll do that. We'll be circulating your information with the team, and folks can reach out to you directly if needed.
Thank you.
Thank you.